各位嘉宾，我们现在掌声欢迎今天出席的贵宾以及唐奖第2届得奖人。
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming all the distinguished guests and the Tang Prize laureates.
澳洲墨尔本大学荣誉桂冠教授雪柔·宋德斯。
Laureate Professor Emeritus, Melbourne University, Cheryl Saunders.
中研院院士王德威。
Academician of Academia Sinica, David 德威王。
中研院院士龚行健。
Academician of Academia Sinica, 龚行健。
中研院院士刘兆汉。
Academician of Academia Sinica, 刘兆汉。
唐奖第1届法治奖得奖人奥比萨克斯。
2014 Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law, L.B. Sachs.
中研院院士王世元。
Academician of Academia Sinica, William 世元王。
2001年诺贝尔化学奖得奖人野伊良治。
2001 Nobel laureate in chemistry, Ryoji Noyori.
1986年诺贝尔化学奖得奖人李远哲。
1986 Nobel laureate in chemistry, 李远哲。
唐奖教育基金会执行长陈振川
CEO of the Tang Prize Foundation, 陈振川。
莱布尼兹科学协会会长马塞斯克莱纳
President of the Leibniz Association, Matthias Kleiner.
唐奖第1届生技医药奖得奖人本树佑。
2014 Tang Prize laureate in biopharmaceutical science, Tatsuku Honjo.
中央研究院院长廖俊智。
President of Academia Sinica, James C. Liao.
唐奖教育基金会创办人尹衍良
Founder of Tang Prize Foundation, Samuel Ying.
请现场各位嘉宾，麻烦您起身，我们现在欢迎唐奖第2届得奖人进场。
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in welcoming all of the 2016 Tang Prize laureates.
唐奖第2届法治奖得奖人路易斯·阿尔布尔。
2016 Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law, Louise Arbour.
唐奖第2届汉学奖得奖人迪培里，代表人布瑞特·迪培里教授。
Representing 2016 Tang Prize laureate in Sinology, William Theodore DeBerry, Dr. Brett DeBerry.
唐奖第2届生技医药奖得奖人张峰。
2016 Tang Prize in Biopharmaceutical Science, Feng Zhang.
唐奖第2届生技医药奖得奖人珍妮佛·道纳。
2016 Tang Prize laureate in Biopharmaceutical Science, Jennifer A. Doudna.
唐奖第二届生技医药奖得奖人伊曼纽夏彭吉耶。
2016 Tang Prize in Biopharmaceutical Science, Emmanuel Charpentier.
唐奖第二届永续发展奖得奖人亚瑟·罗森菲尔德，代表领奖人阿绪侯·卡吉尔博士。
Representing 2016 Tang Prize laureate in Sustainable Development, Arthur H. Rosenfeld, Dr. Ashok Gadgil.
各位嘉宾、各位贵宾，请坐。
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
请掌声谢谢长荣交响乐团与指挥葛诺舒马福斯。
Thank you to the Evergreen Symphony Orchestra and conductor Gernot Schmalfuss.
各位与会的贵宾、嘉宾、现场的观众朋友，欢迎您莅临2016年唐奖第二届颁奖典礼。唐奖的精神出自于盛唐之势，唐朝为东西方文明文化的交汇，包含了政治、经济以及科技发展的全盛时期。 兼容各个文化的胸怀还有气度，这正是唐奖所代表的精神。尹衍梁博士于2012年 设立唐奖，设立了永续发展、生技医药、汉学与法治4大领域的研究，不分种族、不分国籍，遴选出对于我们世界具有实质贡献还有影响力的得奖人。在今天，我们真的深感荣幸，我们与唐奖第2届的得奖人齐聚一堂，也期待透过我们今天的颁奖典礼，将唐奖得奖人的卓越贡献发扬光大。
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2016 Tang Prize Award Ceremony. In title and in spirit, the Tang Prize pays homage to the Chinese dynasty of the same name and celebrates that period's richness in culture, liberal atmosphere, and progress in technology, as well as economic development. It was also during the Tang Dynasty that Eastern and Western cultures began an unprecedented exchange. Established in 2012 by Dr. Samuel Ying, the Tang Prize recognizes outstanding achievements in sustainable development, biopharmaceutical science, sinology, and rule of law. The Tang Prize is global in reach, with laureates selected on the basis of the originality of their research and their contributions to the society, irrespective of their nationality or ethnicity. Today, we are graced by the presence of the 2016 Tang Prize laureates, who are leaders and visionaries in their respective fields, as we gather here to celebrate their achievements and contributions.
好的，典礼一开始，我们首先有请财团法人唐奖教育基金会执行长陈振川陈执行长为我们致开幕词。
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming CEO of the Tang Prize Foundation, Dr. Chen Zhenchuan, to deliver the opening remarks.
Our honored laureates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Tang Prize Foundation and its founder, Dr. Samuel Yin, I welcome you all to the 2016 Tang Prize Award ceremony. 2 years ago, right here in this very hall, we celebrate the 4th year of prize. Now, in just a few minutes, we will award the 6 recipients of 2016. The laureates are gathered with us here today to accept the prize, a recognition of the impact their work has made on our global society. Be it through the precision of science or the depths of our cultural institutions, Arthur Rosenfeld, Emmanuel Charpentier, Jennifer Doudna, Fan Zhang, William Theodore DeBerry, Louis Abel, you 6 are a positive force for humanity, and thus we express to you our deepest gratitude for the years of study and the sacrifice that led to your accomplishments. We are very sorry that Arthur Rosenfeld and William Theodore DeBerry could not join us today to accept the prize in person. But we are happy to have here today 2 representatives who are very close to the laureates. Accepting the prize on behalf of Arthur Rosenfeld is Ashok Gagir, a student, a colleague, and a close friend. And accepting the prize on behalf of Professor DeBerry is his daughter, Brett DeBerry, herself a scholar of Eastern Asian thought and culture. We thank you both for attending the ceremony this afternoon. This prize is still quite young. Just 4 years ago, in 2012, the Tang Prize was officially established here in Taiwan by Dr. Samuel Yin. He decided to commission the Academia Sinica, the highest academic institution in Taiwan, to form the selection committee of each prize fair, who would administer the selection process with rigor, impartiality, and objectivity. We thank them for their bearing this important task. I thank also Dr. Li Yanze for his convening the international committees as the selection committee chairman and ensuring that we choose the most deserving laureates. Following the inaugural year, our foundation has made connections with important organizations here in Taiwan and overseas, such as the International Council for Science, Experimental Biology, and the World Academy of Sciences. In 2015, we began to initiate several of our laureates' grant projects. We signed an MOA with Abisax in South Africa to initiate a trust and a project to record the story of that country's constitutional code. We then signed an MOA in Kenya with Mayagus Trust to protect African elephants. This was done under the auspices of Gro Harlem Brundtland. Tasuku Hongjo began his own project that will look deeper into the research that won him the prize in 2014. And Yinsi established a scholarship to support the academic writing of young scholars. In large part, due to such close interaction with our laureates and important international organizations, we have seen a significant increase in nominations. 20 to 70% more nomination letters in prize categories were received this year as compared to 2014, indicating broader recognition and participation from the international community. It also suggests a positive response to the inaugural 2014 prize winners. Welcoming this year's laureate, we have arranged a full week of events, which include a present award ceremony, as well as a concert, lectures, forums, and youth symposiums, arranged in hopes of fostering the spirit of discussion. The forums and symposiums will be held from September 26th to 28th. And we are planting the seeds of inspiration and innovation at the university and high schools throughout Taiwan. Mr. Lin Chuang, previous denier of London Paralympic Games medal, is the denier of 2016 10th prize diploma. Her denial for this year interpreted the prize from the perspective of going beyond the present to find new and innovative ideas. That diploma, along with 10th prize medal, will be awarded in a few moments. We would also like to express our thanks to President Ing-Wen Tsai. She is not here with us at the awarding ceremony today, though she did make some time to receive the laureates this week. And thanks to all of the distinguished guests joining us here to honor 10 prize laureates today. And lastly, I wish you all happiness and good health. Thank you.
谢谢陈振川执行长的致辞，请执行长回座。
Thank you, Dr. Chen. Please be seated.
唐奖的提名以及评选的重责大任是由中央研究院负责，评选委员以提名者之原创性、影响力以及对于我们社会之贡献来作为遴选的标准。我们现在有请中央研究院院长廖俊智廖院长为我们致辞。
Tang Prize nomination and laureate selection is conducted by the Academia Sinica Selection Committee, who base their decisions on candidates' originality, influence, and contribution to the greater society. Ladies and gentlemen, President of Academia Sinica, Dr. Jane C. Liao.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to join Dr. Chen in welcoming you to this important event this afternoon. It is truly my great pleasure to take the stage this afternoon at the award ceremony for the Tang Prize. I'm honored to share this event of such historical importance with you. The theme of this year's prize is Worldwide Tang Prize, while the theme for 2014 was Tom Prize for a Better World. In both cases, one notices that world is a focal point, be it the level or the scope of this international prize. This prize has been referred to by media as the Asian Nobel. It looks forward to and actively pursues a sustainable world. Worldwide Tom Prize, these 4 syllables, carry a deeper meaning than their brevity implies. The Tom Prize recognizes outstanding contributions in 4 categories: sustainable development, biopharmaceutical science, sinology, and the rule of law. This year has seen significant increases in nominations, from 20 to 70%, more than that in 2014. This tells us much about the global reception of the prize, that the prize is gaining in range of influence and level of trust, and that Taiwan has done a great job in holding a prize of this prestige. As a prize of international caliber, the Tom Prize entrusted the entire selection process to Academia Sinica, the highest academic institution in Taiwan. The Academy invites the world's leading experts to sit on independent selection committees, 1 per category. With rigor and objectivity, these committees select the laureates who have made the biggest impact through original contributions to society. This process is a catalyst for academic exchange at the international level. On behalf of Academia Sinica, it is an honor to be a facilitator of such an exchange. The second implication of worldwide Tom Prize is the philanthropic work of Tom Prize for the benefit of civilization and the sustainability of humanity. The ultimate goal of all research is to improve civilization and promote sustainable living. We use the results of research not just to mitigate problems, but to improve our lives. This is what each researcher wishes to accomplish deep down in their hearts. The 6 awardees here today have without a doubt made a long-lasting impact on the world through their contributions and have inspired us to think and talk about the issues we need to address. They have explored and expanded new frontiers, challenged the existing doctrines, and charted the ways for new discoveries. They are bringing us closer to a sustainable world. Please allow me to express my most sincere congratulations to the 6 awardees. Their winning this award is most deserving, considering their contributions to the community. Also, my thanks to the Tom Prize Foundation, the members of the selection committees, and the many people from all over the world who support the prize. Thanks to their efforts, the prize is becoming more established, more visible by the year. I hope that the world will bring more attention to the 4 fields that the Tom Prize recognizes, which are crucially important to the 21st century. Like all human progress, we reach the next level only by standing on the shoulders of giants, and these are truly the giants we have here. Through their uplifting work, I hope that the coming generations can produce work that is more innovative, more forward-looking, and more impactful to our lives, and lead a human society towards a more harmonious existence. Thank you all.
谢谢廖院长，请院长回座。
Thank you, President Liao. Please be seated.
唐奖之永续发展奖项表彰对于人类社会在地球上永续生存以及发展具有开创性还有卓越贡献之科学以及技术，包含了工程与建设，包含了能源与环境，还有生态等等的领域。
The Tang Prize in Sustainable Development recognizes those who have made extraordinary contributions to the sustainable development of human societies on Earth through groundbreaking innovations in science and technology in fields such as engineering and construction, energy and environment and ecology.
唐奖第二届永续发展奖颁发给亚瑟·罗森菲尔德。
The 2016 Tang Prize in Sustainable Development is awarded to Arthur H. Rosenfeld.
各位来宾，我们现在有请刘兆汉院士为我们介绍唐奖第二届永续发展奖得奖人。
Introducing the Tang Prize laureate in Sustainable Development is Dr. Liu Zhaohan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Liu to the stage.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce the laureate of the 2016 Tang Prize in Sustainable Development, Dr. Arthur H. Rosenfeld. Dr. Rosenfeld receives this prize for his sustained and pioneering innovations of energy efficiency, resulting in significant reduction in energy consumption and carbon dioxide emission around the world. Dr. Rosenfeld was born in Birmingham, Alabama, in the US. In 1926, he was trained as a physicist and received a PhD degree from University of Chicago in 1954, and the Nobel laureate Enrico Fermi. He became a faculty member of UC Berkeley in the physics department, and later a member of the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, where he is currently a distinguished scientist emeritus. Previously, he also served as the Energy Commissioner for the state of California and the senior advisor for US Department of Energy. He has led a long and growing list of innovations in energy efficiency policy, including efficiency standards for refrigerators, air conditioners, and freezers, as well as the integration of energy efficiency into building codes. All of this are widely adopted in the US and other countries throughout the world. While the US per capita electricity use has risen by 50% since the mid-1970s, California's has stayed flat. This has been called the Rosenfeld effect. For over 40 years, he has made extraordinary contributions in energy efficiency and conservation. The impact of his effort has been profound throughout the world. He has received many distinguished awards, including the Carnot Award for Energy Efficiency from the US Department of Energy in 1993, Enrico Fermi Award in 2006, and the Economist Innovator of the Year Award in 2008, the Global Energy Prize in 2011 presented by the Russian president, and the US National Medal of Technology and Innovation in 2013, presented by President Obama. He is a member of the U.S. Academy of Engineering. Dr. Rosenfeld has been highly praised by his peers and experts in energy efficiency. For example, Nobel laureate and former US Secretary of Energy, Steve Chu, said, "The work art pioneered is now indispensable in how the world transitions to a sustainable future." He has inspired over 2 generations of researchers in the field of energy efficiency. I include myself among those inspired. And former UC Berkeley Chancellor Robert J. Bergenoy said, "The pioneering research of Professor Rosenfeld and his group into energy efficiency and the subsequent adoption of enhanced standards in the US have resulted in the development of comparable standards in many other countries in Europe and in Asia." And Professor Emeritus Robert Sawyer of UC Berkeley said, "Professor Rosenfeld is responsible for the saving of more energy and reducing of more carbon dioxide emission than any individual." Dr. Rosenfeld is unable to be here in person today, and he asked his colleague and student, Professor Ashok Gagil, the director of the Environmental Technology Division of Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, to receive the Town Prize on his behalf. Thank you.
谢谢刘兆汉院士，请刘院士回座。
Thank you, Dr. Liu. Please be seated.
接下来，我们请观赏唐奖第2届永续发展奖得奖人罗森·菲尔德的介绍影片以及得奖感言。
Ladies and gentlemen, now a video about Arthur H. Rosenfeld 2016 Tang Prize in Sustainable Development and also his remarks.
During the 1970s oil crisis, California faced a shortfall in energy production, and many were calling for more coal-fired power plants. However, Arthur H. Rosenfeld had something else in mind. He believed that requiring energy efficiency labels on everyday appliances could help close that energy gap.
200 watts to 25 watts is down by a factor of 10 again. We think a marvelously impressive victory.
You go back 40 years, people weren't talking energy efficiency. That was not a mainstream thought. Art Rosenfeld spoke about, emphasized, argued to get the collective thinking of California and really the world to think in different terms.
Rosenfeld also developed low emissivity smart windows, high-frequency electronic ballasts, and cool roofing. While per capita electricity use in the United States has grown by 40% since the 1970s, per capita electricity use in California has stayed flat.
He started this in California. They were later adopted nationally by the Department of Energy.
He affected my thinking. He affected the thinking of other people. And so through his work, California became a leader, and through California's leadership, other people were able to follow.
It was Art Rosenfeld that was really a pioneer in realizing that appliances could be so much more efficient.
But all of it starts with one individual promoting this concept, a simple concept.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off by thanking the Tang Committee for all its attentiveness and its willingness to put up with the fact that I'm unable, because of my health concerns, to travel from Berkeley to Taiwan and hopefully back again. Jesse Chern has visited and made special arrangements to invite a stand-in for me, my former graduate student, for years my colleague and co-author and co-planner, and now a division head at Lawrence Berkeley Lab. Ashok, I thank you, and Anjali, for many years of collaboration. Tang Prize Committee, I thank you for your flexibility for this great honor. And friends, thank you all very, very much.
接下来颁发唐奖永续发展奖，我们恭请李远哲院士，请就位。
Dr. Li Yuanzhe, may I now ask you to step forward to present the Tang Prize in Sustainable Development.
请领奖代表人阿旭侯卡吉尔博士，请就位。
Dr. Ashok Gadgil, may I now ask you to step forward to receive the prize on behalf of Dr. Rosenfeld from the hands of Dr. Li.
恭请李院士颁发奖章。
Dr. Li, please present the Tang Prize Medal.
恭请李院士颁发得奖证书。
Dr. Li, please present the Tang Prize Diploma.
谢谢李院士，请回座。
Thank you, Dr. Li. Please be seated.
恭喜亚瑟·罗森菲尔德，同时我们现在也请领奖代表人阿旭侯卡吉尔博士代为致辞。
Congratulations to Dr. Arthur H. Rosenfeld. We would now like to invite Dr. Ashok Gadgil to say a few words on his behalf.
Dr. Samuel Yin, distinguished members of the jury, and the Tang Prize Committee, and respected guests. First, I would like to convey Professor Arthur Rosenfeld's most sincere regrets that he cannot be here in person to accept the award at this magnificent event. Professor Rosenfeld really was keen to come to Taipei for the award ceremonies. However, his personal physician has absolutely disallowed him from traveling anywhere. So he conveys his regrets for his inability to be here, and he's looking forward to watching this amazing ceremony on YouTube when it is uploaded this evening. Second, Art Rosenfeld is grateful and deeply appreciative of being selected as winner of the 2016 Tang Prize for Sustainable Development. And thirdly, he particularly appreciates the recognition conferred by this prize on actual concrete aspects of complex interdisciplinary work that is needed to bring societal transition towards sustainable development. Thank you once again.
谢谢阿旭侯卡吉尔博士，请回座。
Thank you, Dr. Gadgil. Please be seated.
唐奖所讲述之生技医药领域，表彰具有原创性之生物医学以及药物研究之科学研究领域，对于重要疾病之预防、诊断以及治疗有重大之影响。以生技医药来解决我们人类疾病的问题，有助于人类健康之增进。
The Tang Prize in Biopharmaceutical Science recognizes original biopharmaceutical or biomedical research that has led to significant advances towards preventing, diagnosing, and/or treating major human diseases to improve human health.
唐奖第二届生技医药奖颁发给伊曼纽·夏彭提耶、珍妮佛·道纳以及张峰。
The 2016 Tang Prize in Biopharmaceutical Science is awarded to Emmanuel Charpentier, Jennifer A. Doudna, and Feng Zhang.
各位来宾，我们现在有请龚行健院士为我们介绍唐奖第二届生技医药奖的3位得奖人。
Introducing the Tang Prize laureate in Biopharmaceutical Science is Dr. Gong Xingjian. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Gong to the stage.
It is my great honor to introduce this year's recipients of the Tang Prize in Biopharmaceutical Science. There are Dr. Emmanuel Charpentier of the Max Planck Institute, Germany, Dr. Jennifer Doudna of UC Berkeley, the United States, and Dr. Zhang Feng of the Broad Institute at MIT and Harvard, USA. What they have been able to do is truly remarkable. Together, they have developed a precise, efficient, and easy-to-use genome editing platform, one that promises to revolutionize biomedical science and disease treatment. What is genome editing? How difficult is it? Perhaps I can give you an example. Just imagine your loved one has a pearl necklace with about 30 pearls, and she asks you to help fix it. You say, no problem, glad to do it. Then you identify the defective pearl, cut it out, and replace it with a good one. Job done, and great. Now suppose your loved one is from a very wealthy family, and the string of pearls she asks you to fix is 3 billion pearls long, 3 billion. Out of pride, you say, no problem, glad to do it. But of course, in this case, you really do have a problem. It would be almost impossible just to find the defective bead among the 3 billion pearls, let alone fix it. What you would need would be extremely precise GPS-guided scissors that can recognize the defective pearl and make exact cut just in the right place. Well, our genome is like the string of pearls. In this case, 3 billion nucleotides or base pairs. A defect in one or more nucleotides could lead to the development of severe diseases. But fixing the problem without damaging other parts of the genome is extremely difficult. What we need are GPS-guided scissors to edit the human genome. Indeed, it has long been scientists' dream that someday we can effectively edit human genome to provide medical benefits. Because of the brilliant work of this year's winners, that someday is today. What Drs. Charpentier, Doudna, and Zhang have developed is a CRISPR-Cas9 platform to edit genomes with unprecedented precision and efficiency. Cas9 is a nuclease which, like a pair of scissors, can cut DNA or cut our genome. But Cas9 is not just another nuclease. It is equipped with its own GPS system, which, as the winners of this year's Tang Prize found, is comprised of RNA molecules. These RNA species can guide Cas9 to precise location on the genome, allowing Cas9 to generate a precise cut, which is the first step of genome repair. Through the work of many brilliant scientists, it was previously shown that the CRISPR-Cas9 system was derived from the bacteria adaptive immune system that it is used to cut infecting virus DNA for self-defense. But it was the ingenious contributions of Drs. Charpentier, Doudna, and Zhang toward the identification of the critical CRISPR RNA and tracer RNA, the assembly of a single guide RNA, and the adaptation to mammalian systems that truly makes this system work for genome editing and has opened the floodgate of discoveries and applications. The CRISPR-Cas9 platform has already had a huge impact on the scientific and the medical communities, as reflected by the sharp increase in publication on this subject. In 2010, there were fewer than 50 such publications, but in 2015, there were more than 1,100 such publications, indicating an explosion of interest in this system. This platform has enormous potential, including in the repair of defective inborn genes, the removal of mutations of cancer genes, and the clearance of infecting viral DNA, just to name a few. Its potential for applications in agriculture and other fields is also huge. Today, we are privileged to recognize the achievements of 3 extraordinary scientists. Dr. Emmanuel Charpentier, a native of France, is well recognized as a world-leading expert in the area of the bacteria CRISPR immune system. She studied microbiology and genetics at Pierre and Marie Curie University in Paris and received a PhD from the Pasteur Institute, France. She's presently Director of Regulation in the Infection Biology Department of the Max Planck Institute for Infection Biology, Germany, while retaining visiting professorship at Umeå University, Sweden, and Humboldt Professor at the Hanover Medical School, Germany. She's a member of the Royal Swedish Academy of Science and a member of the German National Academy of Sciences. Her laboratory contributed to the original discovery that Cas9's activity requires CRISPR RNA and a tracer RNA. Basically, she identified a critical component of the GPS system for Cas9. Dr. Jennifer Doudna, a native of the United States, is a renowned RNA structural biologist. She received her PhD in biochemistry from Harvard University. She's presently a professor at the Department of Biochemistry and Chemical Engineering of the University of California, Berkeley. She is also a Howard Hughes Medical Institute investigator, a member of the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, and a member of the National Academy of Medicine, USA. She, in collaboration with Dr. Charpentier, is credited with the discovery that CRISPR RNA and the tracer RNA can be fused into a single guide RNA for genome editing. Dr. Zhang Feng was born in China and received his higher education in the United States, earning his PhD in chemistry and bioengineering from Stanford University in 2009. He's presently a professor of biomedical engineering in the Department of Brain and Cognitive Sciences and Biological Engineering at MIT. He's a core member of the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard and the McGovern Institute for Brain Research at MIT. His previous work led to the landmark development of optogenetics technology for regenerating nerve cells. His critical role in CRISPR technology is the first adaptation and demonstration of this in mammalian cells. These three scientists come from different backgrounds: microbiology, chemistry, and engineering. Together, they have developed the incredible CRISPR-Cas9 genome editing platform, which is certain to transform biology, genetics, and medicine, yielding great benefits to mankind. Many believe that this is among the greatest discoveries in the history of genome research, rivaling molecular cloning and PCR technologies. For these breakthrough accomplishments, we congratulate Dr. Emmanuel Charpentier, Dr. Jennifer Doudna, and Dr. Zhang Feng. Thank you.
谢谢龚行健龚院士，请龚院士回座。
Thank you, Dr. Gong. Please be seated.
接下来我们一起来欣赏的是唐奖第二届生技医药奖3位得奖人的简介影片。
Ladies and gentlemen, now a video about the Tung Prize laureates in biopharmaceutical science.
For a long time now, scientists have been working on research to understand the genetic causes for a lot of diseases. Every cell in our body contains a copy of our genome with over 20,000 genes and 3 billion letters of DNA. Emmanuel Charpentier, Jennifer Doudna, and Feng Zhang developed a CRISPR-Cas9 system that can either delete or replace unwanted genes.
With this interest, we came to the CRISPR-Cas system. We identified bioinformatically 2 RNAs that were expressed in S biogenes. So one is a tracer RNA and the other one is a CRISPR RNA of the CRISPR-Cas9 system.
To look for a particular sequence of letters in the DNA code of a cell. And when the protein finds that sequence of letters,
making a cut to allow us to then replace it with a piece of DNA that's no longer able to cause the disease.
The editing, in principle, could be done outside the body by removing stem cells of the blood from a patient, correcting them outside the body.
Then we can transplant the cells back into the patient, and the cells will be able to produce new red blood cells that would cure sickle cell disease.
Unlike previous methods, it can be used to target many mutated genes at once in cancer or other diseases which involve multiple mutations.
Improved plants, we can use it to screen for new traits that confer either viral resistance or drought resistance, make crops more robust, and be cultivatable even in very harsh conditions.
The opportunities with human embryo editing are enticing in a way, because one could imagine correcting a genetic disorder that would then never be transmitted to future generations.
Programmable in an easier fashion, and it's also less costly, and it's also more versatile. This is important to say, in the sense that CRISPR-Cas9 allows not only to act directly on the DNA, but also to change the expression of the DNA.
Agriculture, drug development, fighting disease, preventing congenital defects, and even curing cancer. A simple yet incredibly powerful new genetic technology, CRISPR-Cas9 system is revolutionizing today, and tomorrow is bigger than you think.
我们先来恭请野医良知博士请就位，准备颁发唐奖第二届生技医药奖。
Dr. Ryoji Noyori, may I ask you to step forward to present the Tung Prize in Biopharmaceutical Science.
请伊曼纽夏彭提耶、珍佛道纳以及张峰请就位。
Dr. Emmanuel Charpentier, Dr. Jennifer A. Doudna, and Dr. Feng Zhang, please step forward to receive the Tung Prize from the hands of Dr. Ryoji Noyori.
恭请野医良知博士颁发奖章给伊曼纽夏彭提耶博士。
Dr. Ryoji Noyori, please present the Tung Prize medal to Dr. Charpentier.
恭请野医良知博士颁发得奖证书给伊曼纽夏彭提耶博士。
Dr. Noyori, please present the Tung Prize diploma to Dr. Charpentier. Thank you, Dr. Charpentier.
恭请爷一良知博士颁发奖章给珍妮佛·道纳博士。
Dr. Ryoji Noyori, please present the Tung Prize Medal to Dr. Jennifer A. Doudna.
恭请爷一良知博士颁发得奖证书给珍妮佛·道纳博士。
Dr. Noyori, please now present the Tung Prize Diploma to Dr. Jennifer A. Doudna. Thank you, Dr. Doudna.
恭请爷一良知博士颁发奖章给张峰博士。
Dr. Noyori, please present the Tung Prize Medal to Dr. Feng Zhang.
恭请爷一良知博士颁发得奖证书给张峰博士。
Dr. Noyori, please present the Tung Prize Diploma to Dr. Zhang. We would now like to ask all the 3 laureates, as well as Dr. Noyori, to please step forward for a group photograph.
请颁奖人与得奖人共同合影。
Thank you very much. Dr. Charpentier, please remain on stage. Dr. Noyori, Dr. Doudna, and Dr. Zhang, please be seated.
我们现在有请伊曼纽·夏彭提耶博士致辞。
Now we would like to invite Dr. Emmanuelle Charpentier to deliver her remarks.
Dr. Yin, dear Excellencies, dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am truly honored to receive this wonderful recognition from the Tang Foundation. I am surely very grateful to the members of the selection committee for having chosen the CRISPR-Cas9 discovery. Curiosity, a quest for knowledge and understanding has always been a strong drive in my life. Trying to shed some more light on the mysteries of life became a mission. I feel privileged to research on the fascinating world of microbes and pathogens and look forward to unravel further the secrets of their lives and therefore our lives. I would like to share this award with my former and present team members and collaborators. I would like to address my special thanks to those young researchers who have contributed specifically to the deciphering of the CRISPR-Cas9 pathway with enthusiasm and joy. I also would like to share this award with my former mentors, Patrice Corvalin at the Pasteur Institute, Pamela Cowan at the New York University Medical Center, Richard Novick at the Skirball Institute, and Elaine Tuomanen at the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, who is here present today and whom I joined as a postdoc at the Rockefeller University 20 years ago now. I would like also to thank my colleagues, family, and friends, and all the passionate researchers who have strongly impacted my work and career over the years. I surely thank the diverse institutions and funding organizations who have supported my research in France, the United States, Austria, Sweden, and now Germany, and together 9 institutions in 25 years. Special thanks to Umeå in Sweden, where I developed the CRISPR-Cas9 pathway, and here I would like to thank the University of Umeå and the Laboratory for Molecular Infection Medicine Sweden, with Professor Bernd Erik Uhlin. And surely thanks to Germany for having been so generous to me the latest years. Once again, I express my warm thanks to the Tang Foundation for this prestigious award. I will leave Taiwan with plenty of memories, of wonderful memories, and will certainly come back soon. I would like to thank again Dr. Yin for his generosity and for highlighting science and innovation to the public and to the world. Thank you very much.
谢谢伊曼纽·夏彭提耶博士，请回座。
Thank you, Dr. Charpentier. Please be seated.
我们现在有请 Jennifer 道纳博士，请致辞。
Now we would like to invite Dr. Jennifer A. Doudna to deliver her remarks.
Wow. Well, this is just an amazing evening, an incredible event. As a girl growing up in Hawaii, dreaming of becoming a scientist, I can tell you I never would have dreamed to be standing here in front of you today. It's an incredible experience. Like my colleagues, I would like to, of course, thank the Tang Foundation and Dr. Samuel Yin. I think that, along with the members of the prize selection committee, I really am grateful for your recognition of this work and the work of so many colleagues that have contributed to this field. It's a real passion of mine to support fundamental research in science, and I think that this prize honors the work that has been done by so many to understand fundamental biology and explore where nature can take us. And in this case, it took us clearly in a very, very interesting and very unexpected direction. So I would like to also thank some people that have been very special to me in my personal life and in my career. I'd like to start by thanking my spouse, Jamie Kate, a professor at University of California, Berkeley, with whom I share a life and our life in science, as well as our personal life together, and our son, Andrew, 13 years old, who's a budding scientist in his own right. I'd also like to thank a number of mentors who have been incredibly important to me in my career. Jack Shostak, Tom Check, Sharon Panasenko, Fred Grieman, Tom Stites, Joan Stites, Robert Tejan, and Michael Botchin in particular, wherever you are tonight. I'm really thinking about all of you and very grateful for your support over the years. I also want to acknowledge, as Emmanuel did, the work of the students and postdocs in our laboratories who contributed to this work. It was a great pleasure to work with all of you, and I'd like to in particular mention Martin Jinek, who's now a professor at the University of Zurich in Switzerland, Stephen Lin, who's here now on the faculty at Academia Sinica, and Christoph Chylinski in Emmanuel's lab, a student who worked together with Martin to do a lot of the work that is being recognized this evening. And finally, I'd like to thank my family members, my parents and my sisters, Sarah and Ellen Doudna, and the friends and the supporters that have encouraged me along the way in my scientific career. Thank you to all of you for being here tonight and for honoring fundamental research and the technologies that come from it for the improvement of human health and the world that we live in. Thank you very much.
谢谢 Jennifer Doudna 博士，请回座。
Thank you, Dr. Doudna. Please be seated.
我们现在有请张峰博士，请致辞。
We would now like to invite Dr. Feng Zhang to deliver his remarks.
I'm deeply humbled to be here, and first I want to thank the Tang Prize Foundation, Dr. Yin, and also, of course, the selection committee for giving me this tremendous honor. I'm deeply humbled to receive this honor, especially in the presence of such an esteemed company. So what is gene editing? We have been studying human diseases for so long, and we have been identifying disease mutations that can cause certain illnesses. But one thought is, if we know what causes the disease, why don't we just go into the cells and fix them? Well, it turns out the human genome is very tiny, so going in and fixing it is quite challenging. And so in order to fix it, we need to have ways of going in and making those tiny repairs. The answer to this really lied in decades of fundamental research in basic science. So we built our work on the shoulder of many giants that have laid the foundation for understanding the basic biology of CRISPR systems to develop this science. And so it's really a tremendous honor and a tremendous luck in order to be selected as a representative of this entire body of work that's being recognized today. So I'm deeply humbled to be able to build our work on the shoulder of so many giants. All of these really were not possible without the contribution of so many individuals have been so critical to my work. First, I want to thank all of the research lab mates that have worked with me to develop the technology, all of the students and all of the postdocs who have not only poured their own passion and energy into developing this, but also in their own ways have inspired me to continue on and to make this technology as widely available and as useful as possible. I also want to thank my mentors who have created the possibility for me to do this work. And these mentors include my high school molecular biology mentor, John Levy, as well as my college mentor, Xiaowei Zhuang, my PhD advisor, Carl Dijsselrath, and now my senior faculty mentors, Bob Desmond and Eric Lander. I also want to thank our collaborators. I've been very fortunate to have been able to work with so many collaborators in the US, in Europe, and also in Japan on various aspects of developing the basic technology as well as the real-world applications in many different areas, from cancer biology to neurobiology. And finally, I want to thank my wife, who wasn't able to be here due to passport issues, also my parents, and also my daughter, who have continued and supported me in so many different ways to make my work succeed. So I really owe my work, and also this prize really recognizes so many people's contribution, not only for my own research group, but really the entire field. So we're still at the cusp of genome editing. There's a lot of work that still need to do, and we're really excited to continue and try to push this technology to a stage where we can actually use it to treat and improve human health. Thank you very much.
谢谢张峰博士，请张峰博士回座。
Thank you, Dr. Zhang. Please be seated.
各位贵宾，接下来我们一起来欣赏由长荣交响乐团为我们带来的音乐表演——贝多芬第6号交响曲《田园》第1乐章。
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the honor of presenting to you the Evergreen Symphony Orchestra, who will be performing Beethoven's Symphony No. 6, Movement 1, Pastoral.
各位嘉宾，唐奖所讲述之汉学，意指广义之汉学，包含了研究中国以及其相关之学术，如思想、历史、文字、语言、考古、哲学、宗教、经学、文学以及艺术，不包含文学以及艺术创作等等的领域。本奖旨在表彰汉学领域之成就，并且彰显中华文化对于我们人类文明发展之贡献。
The Tang Prize in Sinology recognizes the study of sinology in its broadest sense, awarding research on China and its related fields, such as Chinese thought, history, philology, linguistics, archaeology, philosophy, religion, traditional canons, literature, and art. Honoring innovations in the field of sinology, the prize showcases Chinese culture and its contributions to the development of human civilization.
唐奖第二届汉学奖颁发给狄培里。
The 2016 Tang Prize in Sinology is awarded to William Theodore de Barry.
各位来宾，我们现在有请王德威院士为我们介绍唐奖第二届汉学奖得奖人。
Introducing the Tang Prize laureate in Sinology is Dr. David De Wei Wang. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Wang to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is certainly a great honor and a pleasure for me to introduce my former colleague, William Theodore de Barry, the recipient of the Tang Prize in the category of Sinology. Professor Theodore de Barry specializes in Confucianism and Chinese intellectual history. He received his doctoral degree at Columbia University in 1953, and then he started his teaching and research career at his alma mater. And he has even continued on after his retirement in 1990. For the past 6 decades, he has dedicated himself to the study and the dissemination of thoughts related to Confucianism. I had the pleasure and the honor to work with Professor de Barry for 15 years during my tenure at Columbia University, and I certainly benefited tremendously from his scholarship, his leadership, and above all, his vision of promoting Confucian humanities worldwide. Professor de Barry deserved the Tang Prize at least for 4 reasons. First, he was one of the founders of Neo-Confucian studies in Western academia. Over the past 6 decades, he has authored or edited more than 30 books, illuminating the Western world with the wisdom of the thinkers from traditional China, from Zhu Xi to Wang Yangming, to Huang Zongxi to Mo Zongsan. He certainly has proven that Confucianism has never been an obstacle to, but a foundation of Chinese modernization. This vibrant and energetic thought system is highly relevant to contemporary society and human beings in pursuit of our future being. Secondly, Professor de Barry has made groundbreaking contributions to the scholarship of Confucianism. First being his study of the concept of selfhood from the ancient Chinese times to the present. And the second, his inquiry into the concept of freedom in comparative ways between the East and the West. He has mapped out a rich genealogy of these 2 concepts, and he brought these 2 concepts to bear upon what concerns us most in contemporary world, in terms of concepts such as democracy, civic society, and human rights. And thirdly, Professor de Barry has in recent years turned his attention to the comparative study between the East and the West. Particularly, he has been seeking to identify areas of comparative possibilities between all these civilizations. He argues that Western thought shouldn't serve as the only compass for civilization. And he argues for the richness of multiculturalism. He has helped us understand the complexity and the heteroglossia of thoughts and other thinking systems throughout the centuries. And the last but not the least, Professor DeBerry has dedicated himself to the teaching and the developing pedagogical methodologies in terms of improving academic education. I think for all of us who have worked with Professor DeBerry or studied under him, we have all benefited from the multiple publications and the translations under his auspices. Particularly, his sources of Chinese tradition has become the key text to our understanding and the learning and the teaching of Chinese culture in so many different ways, culturally, politically, and particularly intellectually. Above all, Professor William Theodore DeBerry has fostered the common ground for our mutual understanding in terms of how to improve the welfare and the well-being of civilizations across the East and the West. Today, Professor DeBerry is not being able to be with us, but I think wherever he is, I want him to know that we are all paying our respect to him and we all love him. Ted, you are the winner. Thank you very much. Thank you.
谢谢王德威院士，请王院士回座。
Thank you, Dr. Wang. Please be seated.
接下来我们一起来欣赏的是唐奖第二届汉学奖得奖人狄佩里的介绍影片以及得奖感言。
And now, ladies and gentlemen, a video about William Theodore DeBerry, 2016 Tang Prize laureate in sinology, and also his remarks.
Recognized as essentially creating the field of Neo-Confucian studies, William Theodore DeBerry also befriended Qian Mu, Feng Youlan, and met with Hu Shi and Jiang Zemin. His influence on Asian studies has been substantial. In 2013, he was awarded the National Humanities Medal by President Obama for fostering global conversation based on common values and helping bridge differences and build trust.
他的 Neo-Confucianism 呢是比宋明理学还宽广的。我们如果真的是要就中国自己的特色和关系来了解中国，那就不应该用西方的观点。所以呢，是认为应该是内在于儒家的思想。
Professor DeBerry began his career in 1949 at Columbia University. He's personally written 31 books and was editor-in-chief of a major project to translate East Asian classics and primary sources into English.
That they emphasize conversation, but it's particularly the Confucians that emphasize conversation. Sometimes the focus in Buddhism or Taoism.
Even now, at age 97, he continues to teach and converse with students. This year, he was awarded the Tang Prize in Sinology. William Theodore DeBerry is certainly worthy of this honor.
In accepting this distinguished prize, I want to acknowledge the importance of Confucianism in my own personal development. I was not just adding a field of study. The Analects of Confucius, the works of Mencius and Xunzi, all spoke to me personally in relation to my own development. They had something to say about our problems of today. Confucianism is deeply embedded in Korean and Japanese culture. Confucianism also helps to identify the moral aspect of our contemporary political and social problems. It has given me a wider perspective on everything I have examined or that has confronted me. I am also glad to take this occasion to introduce my daughter, Brett, who has been very close to my work over the years, and who is also a scholar in her own right and very qualified to speak on this occasion. Thank you very much.
我们现在请王世元院士请就位颁发唐奖第二届汉学奖。
Dr. William Shi Yuan Wang, may I now ask you to step forward to present the Tang Prize in Sinology.
我们现在请领奖代表人布瑞特·迪佩里教授请就位。
Dr. Brett DeBerry, may I now ask you to step forward on behalf of Dr. William Theodore DeBerry to receive the prize from the hands of Dr. Wang.
恭请王世元院士颁发奖章。
Dr. Wang, please present the Tang Prize Medal.
恭请王世元院士颁发得奖证书。
Dr. Wang, please present the Tang Prize Diploma.
谢谢王世元院士，请王院士回座。
Thank you, Dr. Wang. Please be seated.
恭喜迪佩里教授，我们现在请领奖代表人布瑞特·迪佩里教授代为致辞。
And we would now like to welcome Dr. Brett DeBerry to say a few words on behalf of Dr. William Theodore DeBerry.
My father, William Theodore DeBerry, would like to convey his deep appreciation for this award and his thanks to Tang Prize founder Samuel Yin, to Professor David Derwei Wang, to Dr. James Liao of Academia Sinica, and to the many, many members of the Tang Foundation who extended such enormous and detailed consideration to us over the months since the announcement of the prize. Even more than the prize itself, my father is moved by the ideals that the prize is meant to honor, and by a kind of idealism he glimpsed in it. In looking over the events planned for these 5 days, he could not but be struck by the number of teaching occasions, such as the Masters' Forums, that were included in it. These suggest that the focus of the Tang Prize is not so much on conveying an award to an individual, as on presenting individuals who can serve as examples to the young people who must guide our world, indeed our planet, into the future. It is my great regret that my father cannot be here to take on the role of teacher this year, for this would have been the most meaningful aspect of the Tang Prize for him. When my father began his study of China, East Asia was rapidly being engulfed by the devastation of a global war. He was studying Chinese in 1941 when he was recruited by the United States Navy for the intensive study of Japanese. He was sent to war, where he worked with naval intelligence as a Japanese translator, culminating in being stationed in Okinawa during the Battle of Okinawa, after which he proceeded to the early occupation of Japan. In 1948, he once again returned to his study of Chinese as a Fulbright scholar at Yenjing University in Beijing and then Lingnan University in Guangzhou. My father has said that when he returned from China to Columbia for graduate study in 1949, it was Ryusaku Tsunoda, a Japanese scholar and librarian, who brought home to him the profound importance of Confucian thought for understanding the history and cultures of East Asia. As my father said in the video, through Confucian thought, he felt he was able to more deeply understand China, Japan, and Korea. Just as my father's knowledge of Confucian thought often came from the unanticipated twists of events in his life and from unexpected sources, he never regarded Confucianism as the property of a particular national tradition, as a cause for national chauvinism, or as a system of thought whose superiority had to be demonstrated. His approach was always comparative. He preferred to see how different books talk to each other across differences of time, space, and culture, how different writings, how even what we think of as one single tradition, in that tradition, different writings are continuously engaged in a debate over the most challenging questions of how to live in this world. Only after watching him for many years, I came to understand that my father's habit of teaching two texts together demonstrated that the meaning of one book or one text alone is never complete. A text has to be open to question in order to live on. A classic is not a museum piece, as he says. His love of Neo-Confucian texts as conversations closely mirrors his own pedagogical ideal. Teaching should be a conversation. It is often thought that a prize is given for intellectual achievements or work that is completed. But even at the age of 97, I do not think my father regards his work as completed. More than ever today, it is the questions posed by human knowledge, not only its application, the meaning of human expression, that we must confront. How do we live in a world today that is almost as uncertain and turbulent as the one my father faced as a young man? My father has been concerned that the conduct of such conversations, the idea that is central to the humanities, has been overshadowed in American universities now by a technical and careerist atmosphere. And even in many East Asian universities, texts once deemed classics are no longer being taught. The conversation with the past seems to be fading, and immense and rich resources for human thought neglected. For this reason, more than any other, he is grateful for the Tang Prize and for the idealism it represents about the importance of conversations in the humanities for the 21st century world. Thank you very much.
谢谢布瑞特·迪佩里教授，请回座。
Thank you, Dr. Brett DeBerry. Please be seated.
唐奖所讲述之法治领域，基于人生而平等之信念，个人包含了国家以及国际组织接受到法律之规范。唐奖提倡法律应该要兼顾正当程序，还有实体正义，为和平、为人权、为永续发展而奋斗，以追求我们人类与大自然之共同福祉为最高的目标。唐奖所设置之法治奖，其讲述对于法律理念还有实践有创新，进而对于法治之实践有卓越贡献之个人以及机构。
The Tang Prize in Rule of Law recognizes individuals or institutions who have made significant contributions to the rule of law, reflected not only in the achievement of candidates in terms of the advancement of legal theory or practice, but also in the realization of the rule of law in contemporary societies through the influences or inspiration of the work of the candidates.
唐奖法治奖颁发给路易斯·阿尔布尔。
The 2016 Tang Prize in Rule of Law is awarded to Louise Arbour.
各位来宾，我们现在有请雪柔·宋德斯荣誉桂冠教授为我们介绍唐奖第二届法治奖得奖人。
Introducing the Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law is Laureate Professor Emeritus Cheryl Saunders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Saunders to the stage.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege to introduce Madame Louise Arbour as the 2016 Tang Prize laureate in the rule of law. Madame Arbour has served the ends of the rule of law in a wide variety of capacities at the highest levels with profoundly significant results across a long and distinguished professional life. The seeds of Louise Arbour's subsequent contributions to the rule of law were sown early in her career. She studied law at the University of Montreal in Quebec, Canada, where she necessarily became acquainted with the demands of the bijuralism that characterizes the Canadian legal system, and thus with the challenges of harmonizing plural legal systems to a common end. As a professor at Osgoode Hall Law School between 1974 and 1987, she made her name as a scholar in criminal law and procedure, developing the profound understanding of both fields, which has been seminal in her later work. This period also, however, saw her in a leadership role in the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, and thus began another pattern that repeated throughout her career: the practical application of a deep reservoir of knowledge and skills to areas of acute need, driven by concerns about human rights and commitment to remedy injustice. Louise Arbour's judicial career began with her appointment to the Supreme Court of Ontario in 1987, from which subsequently she was elevated to the Ontario Court of Appeal. And during this period, we again see her active engagement with pursuit of the rule of law in practice, this time leading a commission of inquiry into the treatment of women, including Aboriginal women, in the prison system of Ontario, with flow-on benefits for the correction system in Canada as a whole. Louise Arbour remained a Justice of the Court of Appeal until 1999, when she was appointed to the Supreme Court of Canada, the apex court in the Canadian judicial system. For a critical period from 1996 to 1999, however, she was on leave from the Court of Appeal to carry out a new appointment as Chief Prosecutor for the International Criminal Tribunals of the former Yugoslavia and Rwanda. In this capacity, she made a formative contribution to international criminal justice during its critical establishment phase, to which I will return. Louise Arbour took up her position on the Supreme Court of Canada in 1999, where she served with distinction, making a particular mark in cases applying the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Nevertheless, in 2004, she returned to the international legal arena, this time as the United Nations Commissioner for Human Rights, at a typically challenging time in the international human rights system, during which the United Nations Human Rights Council was established. And then finally, expanding the range of her engagement further still, from 2009 to 2014, she took on the responsibilities of President of the International Crisis Group, an international NGO working, and I quote, to build a more peaceful world through careful analysis and policy advice on some of the most intractable conflicts around the world. Throughout these extraordinary decades, Louise Arbour continued to share her unique insights with considerable generosity through high-profile addresses, interviews, and publications, making a continuing mark on international human rights law and practice by this means as well. It's impossible to summarize Louise Arbour's many contributions to the rule of law during this time in a short introduction. I hope that an impression of their significance and range has emerged from this outline of some of the key moments in her career. But let me elaborate a little further on what might rightly be viewed as her most original and path-breaking achievement as Chief Prosecutor to the War Crimes Tribunals from 1996 to 1999. It's hard to overstate the difficulties of institutionalizing international criminal justice during those early years, to deal with some of the most egregious international legal crimes which would not and could not be dealt with in any other way. The field of international criminal law was almost completely new. Novel judicial institutions had to be established. States needed to be persuaded to participate and then to cooperate. Prosecutorial procedures had to be devised that were both workable and accepted as fair across different national legal cultures. Very high-profile accused persons, sometimes with the most powerful supporters, needed somehow to be brought to book. Overcoming these and other obstacles to placing this critical aspect of the international rule of law on a more stable foundation were the accomplishments of Louise Arbour's period as prosecutor. Her substantive successes during this time are easily recounted. She secured the first conviction for genocide since the 1948 Convention came into effect, and the first indictment for war crimes of a sitting European head of state, and so on. But more importantly still, she helped to make international criminal justice a reality in ways that ultimately came to fruition in the establishment of the International Criminal Court. She did this through creative ingenuity, drawing on long experience of the demands of criminal procedure, now applied in the international sphere, through dogged persistence combined with admirable powers of persuasion, and through the force of her commitment to justice framed by law, which has characterized her working life. So I present to you Louise Arbour, the 2016 Tang Prize Laureate for the Rule of Law. Thank you.
谢谢雪柔桑德斯荣誉桂冠教授，请回座。
Thank you, Professor Saunders. Please be seated.
好的，接下来我们一起来欣赏的是唐奖第二届法治奖得奖人的简介。
Ladies and gentlemen, now a video about the Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law.
The 1990s saw severe ethnic conflict in former Yugoslavia.
AK-47s out of the car windows. Execution style.
The United Nations Security Council set up a war crimes tribunal. Former Canadian jurist Louise Arbour was its chief prosecutor.
Mr. Milosevic thought that he could keep me out of Kosovo. Well, I believe that he can't keep himself out of The Hague. We'll just see.
Through conviction and persistence, Arbour turned the ICTY around in delivering justice, culminating in her indictment of former Serbian President Milosevic. At the same time, she was in charge of the UN tribunal to investigate the Rwandan genocide.
Sexual violence, generally rape, had not been historically prosecuted, but it was important. Now we say it, a weapon of war. It's part of the war strategy to humiliate the enemy or the population, to demoralize, break out the social fabric of victimized communities where men and women are pulled apart.
As UN High Commissioner, she protected the human rights of people in Darfur, Chechnya, Uganda, and others. Now, in her 70s, she's still active in the international legal field and volunteers to help the homeless solve legal disputes in her hometown. Louise Arbour insists on achieving goals through the law and continues to make contributions to human rights and justice.
我们现在请唐奖第一届法治奖得奖人奥比萨克斯，请就位颁发唐奖法治奖。
2014 Tang Prize laureate in Rule of Law, Justice L.B. Sachs. May I now ask you to step forward to present the Tang Prize in Rule of Law.
请路易斯·阿尔布尔，请就位。
Justice Arbour, may I now ask you to step forward to receive the prize from the hands of Justice Sachs.
恭请萨克斯大法官颁发奖章。
Justice Sachs, please present the Tang Prize Medal.
恭请萨克斯大法官颁发得奖证书。
Justice Sachs, please present the Tang Prize Diploma.
谢谢萨克斯大法官，请回座。
Thank you, Justice Sachs. Please be seated.
我们现在有请阿尔布尔大法官致辞。
Now we would like to invite Justice Louise Arbour to deliver her remarks.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with a combination of pride, joy, and immense humility that I speak to you today in accepting this prestigious Tang Prize in Rule of Law. I'm particularly honored to be following in the footsteps
of Justice Albie Sachs, the first recipient of this prestigious award, and I'm also delighted to have an opportunity to interact with my fellow laureates, to whom I wish to offer my most sincere congratulations. Needless to say, as you've seen today, their accomplishments add considerably to the modesty with which I received today's accolade. In receiving the 2014 Tang Prize in Sustainable Development 2 years ago, Gro Brundtland expressed the hope that more women would join the ranks of the Tang laureates. I think she'd be very pleased to see today the shining stars with whom I share the podium. In the course of my professional career in Canada and abroad, I have seen firsthand long entrenched inequalities, even in mature democracies, and also the collapse of legal order in wartime. But I have also seen the restorative force of an environment where power is constrained by rules, and the rules themselves are anchored in the pursuit of justice and human fulfillment. Like many women of my generation across the world, I grew up in a society where laws perpetuated gender inequality and permitted a multitude of discriminatory practices reflecting the lack of political power of minorities whose voices were drowned in majority rule. Two events in particular have anchored my belief in the law as a force for good and in the rule of law, properly construed, as one of the most important organizing principles of peaceful communal life. The first such event is the coming into force of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in 1982. In the decades that have followed, a profound transformation of Canadian society took place, and the values embodied in the Charter, values tracing their origins in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, serve to weave together the rich diversity of Canadian society today. The second event, which marked my continued pursuit of rule of law principles as an investment in peace and progress, was the birth of the international criminal justice system, in which I was very privileged to play an early part. The very idea of ensuring the personal accountability of powerful leaders for crimes against humanity and other forms of mass atrocities was nothing short of revolutionary in the early 1990s. Those who deplore the slow pace of the evolution to date of international criminal justice should not despair. The obstacles, juridical as well as political, are numerous. Many powerful men who have long succeeded in shielding themselves behind the protective cover of state sovereignty will not easily surrender their privileges. But the force of the idea of justice and accountability and the mobilization that it has generated will, over time, be truly transformative. As we move forward as a global society propelled by knowledge and scientific advances unimaginable not so long ago, we should forever resist the irrational forces that pull us apart. And as we promote the advancement of the rule of law, we should not settle for a world simply ruled by laws. Both the apartheid regime in South Africa and Nazi Germany's were ruled by laws, unjust, discriminatory, harmful, despicable laws. The rule of law is not blind to the content of the law. It's not content to assert that no one is above the law. It also proclaims the equal protection and equal benefit of the law, and it requires that laws be just and justly enforced. The idea of law as a great liberating force was best expressed by 18th century French cleric Lacordaire, who said, "Between the rich and the poor, between the master and the servant, between the strong and the weak. It is freedom that oppresses and the law that sets free. Thank you very much.
谢谢阿尔波尔大法官，请回座。
Thank you, Justice Arbor. Please be seated.
各位贵宾，接下来我们一起来欣赏长荣交响乐团带给我们的音乐表演《小约翰史特劳斯春之声圆舞曲》。
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure of presenting to you again the Evergreen Symphony Orchestra, who will be performing pieces from John Strauss Jr., Frühlingsthemen, Waltzer, Opus 410, to conclude today's ceremony.
谢谢长荣交响乐团与指挥奎诺舒马福斯。
Thank you once again to the Evergreen Symphony Orchestra and the conductor, Maestro Jerno Schmaufus.
各位与会的贵宾，还有观众朋友，唐奖第二届颁奖典礼至此圆满顺利成功。
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2016 Tang Prize Award ceremony.
最后，我们再次掌声恭贺唐奖第二届得奖人。另外，也特别感谢您的参与，还有一直以来支持我们唐奖的朋友。让我们一起期待2018年的唐奖。谢谢。
Once again, we would like to extend our congratulations to all the laureates and to thank you for your contribution. Our gratitude also goes to all of those who have supported the cause behind the Tang Prize. We look forward to 2018. Thank you and goodbye.